Welcome. Midnight Rates, Sci-Fi Crime Stories. The Alien Mafia, Episode 4. Humans are just pawns in their game. Like and subscribe to my channel. They never invaded Earth. They bought it. That's how the old archivist began his recording. His voice brittle, broken, almost mechanical. He spoke from a hidden outpost drifting between Jupiter's moons, one of the last unregistered stations left in the Sol system. The man's name was Kellen Reese, a former data courier for the Interplanetary Logistics Guild. But history remembers him as the Whistle of Titan. His testimony shattered the illusion of freedom humanity had built for itself. Because while Earth celebrated its entry into the Galactic Council, while our leaders promised peace, trade, and prosperity, the real deal was happening in the shadows. Not trade, trafficking. The beginning of the trade. It started quietly. The year was 2179. Earth was exhausted. Centuries of climate collapse, wars, and automation had hollowed humanity into obedience. When alien envoys arrived, sleek, silver, polite, people called it salvation. The Syndicate of 9 Worlds, led by a name whispered only in council halls. Zorath. They offered clean energy, weather control, and interstellar transport. In return, they asked for labor cooperation programs, volunteers to help terraform new colonies. Millions applied. Billions celebrated. No one noticed that none of the volunteers ever came back. The Shadow Network. When Kellen joined the Logistics Guild, he didn't care about politics. He just moved data, numbers, ship registries. Until one day, a routine cargo manifest didn't add up. A shipment from Erebus Station to Vega Prime was listed as organic bio-units. But the ship's tonnage, energy draw, and oxygen consumption were far too high for synthetic materials. He decrypted one file, just one. And what he found froze him. Names, ages, DNA sequences. All human. They were shipping people. By the thousands, Kellen whispered in his last interview. And the scariest part, the council knew. Behind the curtain, humans weren't abducted by monsters in the night. They were sold by paperwork. Every colony signing the exchange charter unknowingly permitted the syndicate to recruit from their population in exchange for alien tech. The contracts looked official, stamped, digital, legal. But deep inside, every signature opened a wormhole of ownership, transferring human biometric rights to off-world custodians. You weren't kidnapped. You were purchased. And the paperwork was airtight. Even the AI judges of the Galactic Council approved them. Because to aliens, human rights were just another negotiable resource. The value of humanity. Why humans? Why not drones, clones, or androids? Because humans were rare. Chaotically intelligent. Aliens could predict every other species. But not us. Our unpredictability made us dangerous and desirable. Humans could operate under emotional duress, adapt to alien environments, and survive on less oxygen than most known species. They were the perfect workforce, disposable and cheap. But the Syndicate didn't just use humans for labor. They studied them. Every act of defiance, every spark of rebellion, every emotional reaction was recorded. They called it the Human Variable Project, and its lead architect was Zorath himself. Enter Zorath, the godfather of the galaxy, the first alien to control 9 planets through influence, not war. When Zorath rose to power, he made one promise to his council: control the chaos, and you control destiny. He saw in humanity a mirror of his own species, past, creatures who thrived on instinct and emotion. So he created an entire market around them. A market of minds and bodies. He didn't see humans as slaves. He saw them as investments. Each human captured, cloned, or broken was data. Data to be modeled, sold, upgraded. The interstellar auctions. The exchange wasn't a marketplace. It was an auction cathedral, deep in the debris of a dead moon. Krylos 7. The Syndicate built an empire's beating heart. Giant rings of glowing platforms floated around a black void, where each trade was sealed with a light pulse instead of a signature. Thousands of species gathered in holographic form, bidding with quantum credits for whatever was on sale. DNA, weapons, stars, and humans. They didn't buy humans as equals. They bought them like curiosities. The traders of Death R9 used them as emotional interfaces to communicate with AI gods. The nobles of Xiron collected them as pets of courage. The surgeons of Vethar harvested their organs for hybrid soldiers. Every 10 minutes, a human life was sold under the glow of that black market sun. The supply chain of shadows. Behind every transaction, there was a supply line. And behind every supply line, a planet willing to stay silent. Cargo ships left Earth under legal clearances, carrying construction teams to distant worlds. Halfway through the wormhole, their coordinates were diverted. They emerged instead at unregistered relay stations, the waypoints of the Syndicate. There, AI handlers reprocessed the humans into categories, labor units, for mining, ship construction, or planetary repair. Companions, for noble houses seeking human emotion as entertainment. Harvest stock, for genetic or biological material. And the rest, those who resisted, were erased. Their data deleted. Their DNA recycled. Not even a trace left for history. The rebellion that never was. In 2194, whispers spread of a rebellion, a human uprising inside the mines of Sci-Fi. They say 30,000 Donson captives turned their own tools into weapons and fought for 3 nights against their alien overseers. But the Syndicate never admitted it. No one ever saw footage. No one ever confirmed survivors. Only one transmission escaped. A static-filled broadcast that repeated a single sentence. "We are awake." It lasted 12 seconds before the relay was destroyed. But that message spread across outlaw space like a spark in dry dust. The human spirit was alive. Buried. Chained. But not broken. The great cover-up. To hide the rebellion. The Syndicate needed a distraction. So they staged a humanitarian campaign. Zorath announced a restoration effort, claiming to rebuild lost human colonies destroyed by cosmic storms. Billions of credits poured into the project. Dozens of new settlements were constructed on camera. But behind the scenes, those colonies were just holding farms, processing centers for captured humans. The Galactic Council applauded Zorath's generosity. They called him the Protector of Humanity. He smiled and accepted the title, but in private, he said something else. "If they see me as a savior, they'll never see the chains." The price of truth. When Kellen Reese leaked the evidence, the cargo manifests, DNA logs, and Syndicate contracts, he doomed himself. The moment his report hit the underground network known as the Midnight Archive, a bounty was placed on his head. He fled to Titan, where the last unregulated human base existed. He transmitted his confession to every black channel frequency in the solar system. Then his signal went dark. 3 days later, Titan was gone. An entire moon colony, erased by a quantum reactor malfunction. No survivors, no debris, just silence. The legend of the whistle. But before he died, Kellen left behind one final message. Buried in code, disguised as a children's tale uploaded to public networks. Only those who knew where to look could decode it. The message was simple. They think we're pawns, but pawns can become kings. That was the spark. The one the syndicate didn't see coming. Because buried among the slaves were those who remembered Earth, who remembered freedom, and who were willing to burn galaxies to reclaim it. And somewhere, in the cracks of Zorath's empire, a rebellion was beginning to breathe. Thanks for watching.